it's early and there's a bunch of multi-stops happening. Had to slide my tandems, make sure that's all good. Padlock. All right. We got one stop done yesterday. It snowed. I'm down here in Little Rock getting ready to head to my next stop. I got 2 more after this. So, how do you get ready for a multi-stop? It takes a bit of planning. Now, if anybody knows me, they know I hate multi-stops. I despise them. Not that... the reason I despise them is usually the stop pay isn't good, and they're spread out over too many days. But this one, the stop pay, and then since it was spread out, we got a bunch of extra money from the customers. So, on that. So what does it take to get ready for a multi-stop? Well, more than you would think, because your first stop is pivotal. So I'm at my second stop now. I didn't record anything because it was dark. But we got my first stop done. Now I'm here at my second stop. So why is the first stop so important? Well, let me set the stage. I got four stops. First stop is in Springfield. Second stop's Little Rock. 2 stops Memphis. Now, having done this a while and been around all these places, I know for one thing that the first stop on this run, especially when you're in Springfield, Missouri as a whole, there's hardly any places to park a truck. You got to go outside of town. They got a Flying J on one end of town. You go up to Stafford, they got the Loves and the TA. The Rotten Roberts, you can't park there. There's no overnight parking there. And then they got a small place, a Come and Go. And if you want a spot there, you got to get there real early. So I knew that this was going to be the weak link. Now, why couldn't I stay at the customer? This customer does not allow overnight parking. I checked the reviews, looked. I was kind of sure they didn't. Looked, and I also Google Earthed it. Absolutely not. So I knew I was going to have to start my clock. Now, knowing what I know now, I should have just gone down there, done the whole PC thing. But I'll tell you why I didn't. And the reason why was it was Super Bowl weekend. I know everybody's going to be parking their trucks to watch the game. And with only basically one viable truck stop in the area, I had to go there first. And when I got there, there was one spot. And I got it. Now, when it comes to figuring out your second stop, see, first stop was on Monday. Got 2 stops today on Tuesday. Now, yesterday, left Springfield down to Little Rock. That was 220-something miles. And the problem that I had, well, one, it was snowing, but it wasn't freezing, so it was all right. But 2, I didn't know if you could park here overnight. Reviews said you could. Dispatch said yes, you could. But this is Little Rock. And I didn't know if they were going to park you inside the fence or outside the fence. And I just decided to err on the side of caution, and I just stayed a little bit away. The last time I was down here in Little Rock, they had a gang fight next street over, and there was all sorts of gunfire and whatnot. Good times. And I really didn't want to relive that again. Now, mind you, that's not the first time I've heard it, but if I never heard it again, I probably wouldn't complain. So, also, there's no restrooms down here, and I was down where I needed to be about 12:30, 1 o'clock. So I swung over to that Love's here, and on the southwest side of Little Rock. It's about 15 minutes from where I needed to be, so that's good. So now that I got here and scoped it out for the first time, it's not bad. If you were coming in a lot later, or if I had been coming in a lot later, I would have just swung in here. But now I know. I've never been here. So we're going to get this done, and then I have an appointment here at 5 in the morning, and it's 15 past, because they don't come in until 5:30. They make the appointments and then don't show up for another half hour, which I've always found interesting, because they're the ones that set the appointment. If I'm here at 5:10, I'm late, but they didn't show up till 5:30. Whatever. So now, but then, as soon as I'm done here, I have to boogie to Memphis. And that's about another 3.5 hours, depending. So they got to get me quick, and I got to get out, because if everything goes seamlessly, I'm going to make it with about 12 seconds to spare. Well, it's already an hour past my appointment time. I still don't have a door, but I got a message from Capstone saying that they've started unloading my truck. So this has already put me late for my next stop. Good times. So hopefully we can get going here. And this is one of the reasons I hate multi-stops. So yeah, good times. One of the things that you just can't do anything about is unload times. And when you get two deliveries on the same day that are as far apart as mine are, it's over 2.5 hours. There's just nothing you can do. These people here, they work at their own speed. And I have this problem a lot, especially with this particular lumping service. Lumping services to me are garbage. That's one of the things I hate about coming to these places. But that aside, one of the things you just can't do anything about is these guys moving any faster. So I've been done. They made me pull out a door, and everybody over here is just sitting around. So we're all waiting on our paperwork. We're all empty. And this guy's been waiting probably an hour. I've been waiting a half hour, but it don't do no good to yell. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens. So we finally got out of there. That place was a massive display of inefficiency. But I'm just about to my third stop now. I had to make a couple of phone calls and have the shipper reach out to the customer to find out why they were taking so long. And basically what it was we were all waiting for these guys. They just weren't going to bring the paperwork till they went on break. So it was just sheer laziness. And this is a problem, an ongoing problem I've had with lumping services. These guys ain't going to work any harder than they have to, and it's just the way it is. So you can't get mad. You can't go in there and yell at them. You can't. It took me over an hour to get my bills. But here's the thing: work for good people. I charge them for every bit of that. I billed them. They're getting charged. I'm getting paid detention, and it is what it is. Just like the first stop, I got detention off that one too. I got detention off this one. Here's the thing: because I'm late for this one, even though it's not my fault, they're still gonna say it's my fault. And since I missed my unload time, there's gonna be no detention on this. Thankfully, it's a very, very small load. It's like a pallet, maybe a pallet and a half. So if worse comes to worse, I can actually unload it myself and do the breakdown very quickly. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. But this is going to happen when you got basically 175 miles between two stops. It was 2.5 hours, you know, on a good day. And these people are just taking their time. I sat there literally 4 hours waiting for them. You can't get mad, but it doesn't mean I'm happy about it either. So let's get over to the next stop and we'll unravel this. We're down here on Old 78. Nobody should ever willingly go on Old 78. I used to tell people when you come down Old 78, you roll your window down and you put a gun in your lap because you don't want to get glass in your eye when someone throws a brick through your window. It's a real rough area of town. It's what is known as the hoe stroll. So, yep. They're busy building some overpasses and all that, and I think they're going to make this a elevated highway all the way to 240. That's what it looks like. They tore out all the old truck stops, the two pilots and the other one, so it's not as rough down there anymore because a lot of that element's gone, but up on the north end, it's still a little rough. So we made it to the third stop, and there was a late fee. It was only $100 because I wasn't too terribly late, but I didn't pay it with my money. So now here's the part of this that's gonna suck. My last stop. Now, if you do enough of these stops, you know what to do. And the last stop on this, it's gonna suck because it's over off BF Goodrich Boulevard, and there's no place to park around there. The pilots are gone, the truck stops are gone, which really isn't a bad thing, honestly. But you got to park on the side of the road, and there's no place really around here to park. So you got to go park over at the customers. It's noon, so I'm going to be there till tomorrow morning. These are just kind of some of the things, and truthfully, if I had my druthers, I would have much rather have done it in reverse. Done the one over there today and done the final tomorrow morning, because these guys have a place to park. You can park overnight here. Well, we don't always get what we want, so it is what it is. But that being said, at least I made it. They're only taking a couple of pallets off, and I think they're already done, so we'll have to wait. Now, the late fee is just one of those things. It's for how many hours you're late. It's what, $50 an hour. You know, is it 50? I don't know what it is. It was $100. So I was just shy of 2 hours, so it was $100. But I mean, that being said, I don't have to pay for it. They're not blaming me. And this is one of those things that was just so far beyond our control that there's nothing you can do about it. So I'm not really mad. It's just kind of irritating because they wouldn't let me in the gate till I had the $100. And now that I'm in the door, they're unloading me. But there's also another casualty of this. And that's my clock. We are deep into the 14 now because of the first stop. Knowing what I know now, if I got there a little later, I probably would have just parked there and saved all this time. But I'm not really losing anything. I'm just losing my 14. My next stop is literally just about 2 miles away. Truthfully, I don't like multi-stops. I never have. And if I had my druthers, I wouldn't have nothing to do with them. Never have liked them. Probably never will. But, you know, that being said, I mean, it is what it is, and I ended up doing this for some strange, screwy reason. I told them no and hung up on them twice. Okay, I hung up on them once. But they were insistent, and, you know, I just didn't feel like fighting. With that being said, they did sweeten the pot, and there is a little more money to be made. But that still doesn't mean I like them, and, is this a waste of time? That's all up to you. It hasn't been so far, but it's just been more aggravating than anything. So we're at the last stop, thankfully. Yes, it's a whole big thing here. So this is where I'm camped out for tonight. So I think we'll pick this up in the morning. So see you tomorrow morning. So it's the next morning. It's about 6:30 and we're in the door 2 hours early. I slept along this curb last night. I really don't care much for this place, but hey, they're banging away inside and they're getting me done. So hopefully I should be rolling here, and I've already paid the lumper. Hopefully I'll be rolling here shortly. Get out of Memphis and head on to my next gig, which I was told to head east, but the rest has yet to be determined. So as we finish this up, well, what's the moral of the story here? The fact of the matter is, multi-stops suck. I don't like them. Some of them pay better, some of them don't. But there are a lot of things that you just can't control. And if I've proven it on this load, you know, this load has actually been one of the rougher ones. And it really wasn't that hard. It's just trying to figure out how to put yourself in the best position for your next stop. My APU just kicked on and it's been throwing a code. We're fine for the moment. So, taking in all those factors with 4 stops, these stops were absolutely not ideal the way they were set up, but sometimes it just happens that way. And if you get with a good company that understands that, a lot of times they will make provisions for the suck. Now, one of my big things when I got this load was the fact that it took so much time. And I only did 179 miles yesterday. So when you have 4 stops and you only do that much time, you're doing a lot of sitting, you want to be compensated. If you are working for a company where you do a lot of multi-stops, but they're not compensating you as an owner-operator, even as a company driver for that, I just would tell you to refuse them. Because this took so long and took an extra day, they tacked on quite a bit of extra money because that's a truck they're taking off the road. They got to pay me to sit around. And that's important. Now, like with my last company, even as an owner-operator, they never wanted to pay me my stop pay. And I'm getting twice as much here as I was at the last place I worked. And the reason for that is it's my money, and these companies were keeping it. But even as a company driver, you should still be getting at least $40 a stop. And a lot of guys pay 20. Like, well, my last company as a company driver, they were giving these guys something like $50 for the first stop, $25 for the second, and like $20 for each additional. It was something stupid like that. But these guys are different, and I like that. But what are the things I was talking about? Well, like I said, you got to get set up first, and you got to know where your stop is. You got to know where everything is. I've been to these places before, so I knew where they were, and I knew what I could do, except for that stop in Little Rock. Now, like I said, I'm not a fan of Little Rock. The last time I was there, I've told you about that. Lots of gunfire. Fun was had by all. So I didn't know if you could spend the night over there. And truthfully, I really didn't want to. And this is where a little bit of planning came in. I knew that even if I started my clock with as close as the other stop was to me, you know, from Little Rock to Memphis, even if I started my clock, I got 14 hours, and I knew I would be at my next stop soon enough. So I didn't mind staying at the truck stop because, frankly, I got shut down by about 12:30, 1 o'clock. So who wants to sit in an empty field with no bathroom for 15 hours? I certainly do not. So this is kind of where experience comes in, of knowing what you can do and where you're going and all that. And if you're new to this, you're gonna screw up a little bit. Just make your stops on time. But like with my third stop yesterday, when I knew I couldn't make it to Memphis, I didn't get upset. I just did my job. It wasn't my fault. And they still charged me, but at the same time, I didn't have to pay because it wasn't my fault. So these are just things to think about. So don't get upset about things you have no control over. I'm not going to make these. I got 4 pallets to take off here. Thankfully, they got me in a little early. But I'm not going to make these guys move any faster than they have to. And thankfully, they're moving fast enough. That's not a bad thing. So this is just one of those things that you just have to take into consideration. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is something that I talk a lot about. How are you going to be able to do your job efficiently? You know, path of least resistance, efficiency, the whole, you have to figure out how to do it. And sometimes it's a little hard. Part of why I stayed here instead of at the truck stops is, well, I don't like the truck stops. There was a couple places I could have stayed, but I don't like staying in Memphis proper. And West Memphis has become an absolute trash. It's a burning dumpster fire. Especially since the Petro quit making people pay to park and got rid of all their security. It has just become an absolute dumpster fire over there. That's one of those places where I was very happy for pay to park and security. I won't even go to the J anymore. I had to just almost pull a gun on a guy about 3 years ago. I got accosted at a fuel island by a crackhead. It wasn't good. So when you figure out what you're doing and you figure out your path and you figure out what you need to do, I tell you what, guys, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be. It just takes a little bit of planning, a little bit of perseverance. And like I said, this is where experience comes in. So just relax, figure it out, and I'll tell you what, you do that, you're going to be all right. So I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. See you next video.